Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to Horror Analysis. With me, Drew. I hate to do it yet again, but this is another video on Fission. The first video on Fission I made about a month ago, but that was a redo once I got this thing of a video I made about 2 months before that, so I could have decent sound, so I don't sound really bad, because it was, I may not sound wonderful now, but I sounded a lot worse on the first videos that I did, which were rough drafts. I'm using as rough drafts. So I did the final draft about a month ago. I actually put it up last night for Fission, so I was listening to it, watching it again as I was putting it up on YouTube, and so now I have, and then the next couple days I did the second video on Fission, talking about, of course, Noel Carroll's Philosophy of Horror, and I lost my bookmark here, page 46. So the last video I did about spatial fission, but last night I was watching the video, and that was a month ago. Now, a month later, I'm still thinking about it. I'm like, I still don't like... something's messing with my head about fission. So, I'm going back to it again. And I think I have some more counterexamples. Last time I was talking about spatial fission, the little problems and things playing with my brain about maybe some counterexamples for spatial fission, or, hey, Noel Carroll, what do you think about this? How does your theory go with this, etc. So, I mentioned in the first video, I had problems with what Noel Carroll had to say about spatial fission, temporal fission, including non-back and forth werewolves, or Jekyll and Hydes, or whatever, werecats, or were anything. If there's no flip-flopping back and forth, it doesn't feel right. I see his point on some examples. On some examples, I don't. Once more, just briefly, temporal fission, you have, at different times, the same protoplasmic, what was it? Protoplasm. They share the same protoplasm. The wolf or the man is its I forget his name now. If it's Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, they share the same protoplasm. If it's the Wolfman or Lon Chaney's character, I said it about 50 times in the video that I watched last night, but of course I can't remember it. What was it? It was a good name too. Anyway, I can't think of his name. I'll put it up in a little speech bubble, I'm sure. If it's Lon Chaney's character or the Wolfman, which is also Lon Chaney's character, they share the same protoplasm. But they flip-flop back and forth. When the moon is out, the Wolfman is that's the time that the Wolfman has with the protoplasm. When the moon isn't out, it's the time that the character has. I'm not going to think of it. It's just that I'm not going to think of it. The problem, I have no problem with that. That's fine. When Jekyll drinks the potion A, or when it starts working on its own, it gets a little tricky, but when Jekyll drinks the potion, he becomes Mr. Hyde, and when the potion wears off, he becomes Dr. Jekyll again, or he drinks the counter potion, and he becomes Dr. Jekyll again. And then when it starts working on its own, it gets twisted. He doesn't control how he switches back and forth. But it's certainly the protoplasm fits, and they switch back and forth. What Val Luton's cat people? Sometimes she's a jaguar, sometimes she's a lady. If you had the movie version of Blood and Chocolate, there's very sharp divide. Sometimes it's a wolf, sometimes it's a person. It's volitional in that case, but that's not even wolf manishness. It's just human or wolf. You get to choose. It seems a lot less threatening. Of course, the movie was nowhere near the same as the book, so I'm skipping that one. But what about the wolf men parts? American Werewolf in London is sort of the same sort of thing. In that when the moon is out, it's a wolf. It's a wolf the size of a lion, and it's sort of twisted, and it's not really mannish in aspects, but monstrous in aspects, which is good. But then there's wolf men that are wolf men, like Harry Potter's Wolfman, the Howling's Wolfmen, lots and lots. So the Wolfman's Wolfman is not a wolf. It's a mixture of wolf and man. It's a fusion. It's a fusion fission. I guess I guess Carol would say that, yeah, it's sort of a fusion fission, but he actually says something different. The human and wolf are spatially continuous, occupying the same body, but the identity changes or alternates over time. The two identities, as the opposed categories they represent, do not overlap temporally in the same body. That protoplasm is heterogeneous in terms of accommodating different mutually exclusive identities at different times. That's not actually the sentence I wanted to read there, Drew. Come on now. Oh, he called it spatially locatable protoplasm, and I do like that term. Where was the sentence I wanted to read? Come on, Drew. Oh yeah, the human identity and the wolf identity are not fused, but, so to speak, they are sequenced. It's sequential. Human, wolfman, human, wolfman, human, wolfman, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde. Never the twain shall meet. Cat person, jaguar lady, jaguar lady, jaguar lady, and cat people. Sequenced. I get that it's perfect for the sequenced ones. He also says it's also true for non-sequential ones. This is this next paragraph down. He only spends 2 paragraphs on temporal fission and then 2 paragraphs on spatial fission. Well, maybe 3 paragraphs on spatial fission. The next paragraph deals with the non-switch back and forth one. It's Mark of the Beast by Kipling. It sort of works for that. He's gradually becoming a jaguar. The man is becoming a jaguar. I love this hand motion. That's great. That's so helpful. It's so illustrative. Good job, Drew. My apologies. In Mark of the Beast by Rudyard Kipling, I mentioned it before, the guy insults the Hindu god, the priest puts a spell on him, and the guy starts becoming a jaguar. He's, first off, his horses get scared of him, then he starts foaming at the mouth, and he gets sick, and he's not feeling well, and he gets violent, and yada yada, and he's becoming a slavering monster. Has the Mark of the Beast put on him, and he's becoming a jaguar. Or leopard. My apologies to Kipling. He's becoming a leopard. It's not back and forth. when the moon's out, he's a leopard, and or a leopard man, and when the sun's out, he's a man. No, it's just all the time he's becoming temporal. So the temporal thing is there. He's becoming a leopard. Slowly. Gradually. It sort of works for that one. Then he talks about Novel of the Black Seal. The first video, I hadn't read it yet. I did get 3 Imposters from LibriVox.org. I did listen to it. It was actually a good reading, so I'll recommend it. I didn't listen to all of 3 Imposters. Or The Imposters. Is it 3 Imposters? I didn't listen to all of it. I just listened to the Novel of the Black Seal part. That's not the right folder. Listened to... There we go. 3 Imposters. I was right. 3 Imposters by Arthur Machen. Novel of the Black Seal. In Machen's The Novel of the Black Seal, the boy idiot seems to be transmuting into a sea lion. He does seem to be, but he's not. Spoiler alert. It so intrigued me from that description that I wanted to listen to it, and I did. And I was also doing History of Horror on Machen during the time, and I don't know. It feels like it's leading you towards that, but then it twists you into a different direction altogether. So he's not gradually becoming a sea lion. I think at the end he's just dissolved into protoplasm, or was it the slime that we all came from, or something, is how Machen quoted. I listened to the end of it before a tentacle. I don't want to give spoiler stuffs. I'm just going to skip that part of it. So on that one, I'm not sure if it's not sequential. On Mark of the Beast, after they kidnap and torture the priest into undoing the curse, the guy gets better. So it's becoming a jaguar, becoming a jaguar? Did I mess it up again? Yeah, becoming a leopard. I did mess it up again. Becoming a leopard, becoming a leopard, becoming a leopard. They torture the priest enough that... Oh, he's a human again. So it's a U-turn and back. Before he hits pure leopard. The other example is... doesn't really fit because he may appear to be becoming a sea lion, but he's not becoming a sea lion. He's just dying. Sort of, I don't know, it gets weird in that part of the book. But it doesn't fit. The example I came up with is my counterexample. And this is Ginger Snaps 2. In Ginger Snaps 1, Catherine Isabel, the one on the left, is bitten by a thing, and we don't know what, but she's becoming bestial. And yada yada yada. The sister, Emily Perkins, Ginger is the non-Emily Perkins one. Emily Perkins at the end of one infects herself with whatever is infecting her sister Ginger, Catherine Isabel, and so they can be together or something. It's a very good movie, and I'm describing it very poorly. The second one I really like too. The third one I pass. The third one was a prequel. It was good. It was atmospheric. It was creepy. It gave me the creeps. It was kind of scary, but it didn't have the plot that I thought it should. So, it was sort of a nod to Somtau, though. Never mind. Somtau's werewolves, most book form werewolves, are going to be the sequential temporal fissions, where when the moon's out or when he feels like it, becomes the werewolf, and when he stops feeling like it or when the moon's not out, he becomes the man. Or in Thor, it's nighttime. That's a good one. Not Thor. Moon of the Wolf. No, not Moon of the Wolf. Blood Moon? No, not Blood Moon. Blood Moon might be along the lines of Ginger Snaps. I didn't think of that one, but it's a weird one anyway, so let's skip that. Ginger Snaps 2. Takes over where Catherine Isabel died at the end of Ginger Snaps 1. Spoiler, whatever. Ginger Snaps 2, Emily Perkins, is on her own now. She's fighting the curse. But we're not interested in Catherine Isabel, Emily Perkins, for this part of the counterexample. You could make the claim that she is, through the course of the movie, becoming a werewolf. A monster wolf. And that's true. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. The other werewolf, the one that Catherine Isabel made a werewolf, the boy that Catherine Isabel had unprotected sex with, Ginger. The one that Ginger had unprotected sex with, let's use character names. It's unlikely that Catherine Isabel actually had sex with the actor. Could have, but whatever. Ginger had unprotected sex while she was becoming a werewolf, after she was bitten, when she was infected. She had unprotected sex with a guy. The guy starts becoming a werewolf. He ate his own dog, is how he famously put it. Ginger dies at the end of the movie. The boy doesn't. The boy just sort of drifts off into wherever. They think for a moment he might be cured because he was injected with wolfsbane, which they tried to use for Ginger. But it's not a permanent cure, it's only a temporary cessation of whatever, and it's a poison. So, throughout the second movie, Emily Perkins is injecting herself with wolfsbane as much as possible. The boy didn't, and it's implied that he just became a monster wolf. And the monster wolf is stalking Emily Perkins throughout the extent of Ginger Snaps 2. Now, for the extent of Ginger Snaps 2, the boy from Ginger Snaps 1, who's not a boy in Ginger Snaps 2, he's a monster wolf, is just a monster wolf. He is a melding of man and wolf, but he is a fusion. There is no temporal thing in Ginger Snaps 2 to imply that there is no temporal switching. He is not becoming more wolf-like. He is staying in stasis as monster wolf. And he's stalking Emily Perkins because he wants to mate with her, being as he sees her as the same species. Because she's infected as well. Now, he is not a fission monster. Between the two movies, yes, he's a fission monster. But between the space between the two movies, there's no discussion of him. He's a boy in the first one, and he's a monster wolf in the second one. That there's no background. For the extent of the second one, there's no change. He's a monster wolf. He is a man-wolf fusion. So, is he a fusion monster for this, or is he's a werewolf, but is he a fusion monster or is he a fission monster? That's the question I have for Noel Carroll. A counterexample. Might not be the greatest counterexample. I sort of have another one. I did think of Underworld 2, the Werewolf Prime, I suppose. William, I think his name was William, the son of the immortal who was bitten by a wolf. He doesn't change from man to wolf to man to wolf. He's just Wolfman the whole time. And anyone he bites dies and then is resurrected as Wolfman and doesn't get to change back to human. These are the prime werewolves, as opposed to the werewolves from Underworld 1 that could switch back and forth. Right. So, yes. Pardon me. Yeah, so there is a transition phase, but for William, he's been a werewolf for the whole entirety of the movie. And from 3, they don't discuss William at all. I guess they assume that he's just there. 3 is a prequel too. What's with werewolf movies having the third one prequels? It's not a good idea. Anyway, yeah, sorry. Okay, so when there's no transition, it's just fusion. It's got to be just fusion. And what about fusion monsters like lobstermen or crabmen? One would assume, or the reptile or any of those ones, one would assume that they were once men and then got transformed into lobstermen. Or, oh goodness, okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not to use a non-horror example. For the extent of the movies, they're just turtles, but they were once pre-slime. They were just turtles that were touched by men and then fused into men. Men turtles. So there was a transition. It could have been a few minutes from turtle to man turtle, were turtle, turtle men, because it's not, they're actually turtles. Anyway, so do those fusion monsters become fission monsters by virtue of them having some form of transition phase? I don't think so. I don't see it that way. The other thing I had was, I have a picture through here. This is from Werewolf the Forsaken. Something I'll be going into when I talk about games. It's a role-playing game. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons thing, but based in World of Darkness, which is a horror world. And one of the things in horror World of Darkness is werewolves and vampires and zombies and ghosts and, what was it? Fae? You had Frankenstein type people being brought back to life. Oh, witchcraft, wizards and witchcraft, etc. So the werewolf one, this is the transition phase. There's the 5 phases. There's the human, the near human, the wolf man, the near wolf, and the wolf. They had funny names too, but I'm gonna not go into them because I don't remember them all, and they sound funny, and most people wouldn't appreciate it. So there's the near human. Apparently they can switch to any of these at will with dice rolls and whatnot, because it is a tabletop game. Yeah, so they can, the human and then the near human, the wolf man is fusion. It's a complete fusion in between wolf and man, and plus magnification because he's quite a bit bigger than people. And then the near wolf one would be, I guess, a wolf with magnification, making it a bit bigger. So it's just, these are fusings. I mean, if you took the far right and the far left, you'd have Blood and Chocolate, where the humans are pure humans and then they transition to pure wolf. The movie version of Blood and Chocolate, of course. If you had, The Howling, you'd have the man one and the middle one. Or the same in Underworld, the man one and the middle one. If you had, Ginger Snaps or American Werewolf in London, you have the man one and the near wolf one, the fourth one over, the one next to the wolf, a monster wolf. But this one's obviously, you could switch back. So, but there's a different amount of fusion. It's not. This is a good picture for illustrative purposes, but there's fusing going on. It's not pure fission where half the time he's a wolf and half the time he's a man. It's, or when the sun's up he's a wolf, and when the sun sets or when moon rises he's a wolf. He's a wolf man. He's a fusion of man and wolf, with magnification oftentimes to make him bigger, because the actors usually wear stilts. Or in the case of the super wolf, they have the. I always like these things on Ginger Snaps and Ginger Snaps 2, and I like watching the behind the scenes to see the creature art. And they usually have stuff on their arms to run, and that's how they did it for American Werewolf in London too. Well, I guess you never really see it. You see the transition, but then you see the stuff through his eyes. You don't see the wolf. You assume that it's more wolfy. It's monster wolf. It's the near wolf from the World of Darkness version. Yeah. I don't know. This is just some counterexamples. I'm not even trying to disprove Carroll. I just want to know what he has to say about this. He only spent 2 paragraphs on this, and he wanted to make it quick. If you went too in detail, you make it not readable anymore for the average person. So I'd like some more elucidation, please, Mr. Carroll. If you could, or any Carroll apologist out there that could explain it to me a little bit better, please do. I don't see how the guy from Ginger Snaps 1, who is the wolf in Ginger Snaps 2, is anything but a fusion monster for the entirety of the movie. There's no transition. The transition happened when the movie wasn't on. Before the before the events of movie B started, movie Ginger Snaps 2 Unleashed started, the man became a wolf, a monster wolf. Alright, that's it. It's trying to keep it a short video. Obviously that didn't work too much, but, shorter than some. Folks, have a great night. I'll see you next time. My name is Drew. Thanks for watching Horror Analysis.